What stops you achieving the things that you want to achieve? If you have some goals, if you have dreams, if you have things you're reaching for in your life, what stops you getting them done? We avoid things all the time. It's usually an unconscious process, and we're going to talk a little bit today about one form of avoidance and how you can combat it. I want to start by saying something I say all the time, something that's just like a bit of a mantra, things my clients hear from me all the time. Everything is choice. We have far more choice and freedom and power than we tend to realize that we have. We can choose what we're doing with our lives, where we're headed, what we do with each moment, how we show up, who we are, how you respond to situations. There's all sorts of things that are within our power and our choice that we tend to imagine aren't. The thing about choice and the thing about power is that you have as much as you choose to have. So we're going to talk today about how to increase your conscious choice and your power over your decisions so that you can start achieving more things. We only have as much choice and power as we have self-awareness. There are all sorts of processes, emotions and thoughts and unconscious kind of bias that are going on inside of us all the time. There's this chorus of voices, and they're all calling us in different directions. The better you know that, and the better you understand all the stuff inside yourself and outside, your environment, your situation, social pressures, all these sort of things, the more freedom and power you have, which is why I think personal development is such an important thing. The more we know ourselves, the more power and freedom we have. So I'd like to talk a little bit about numbing. We all have situations in which we are emotionally overwhelmed. These might be situations with other people in relationships or people at work. It might be intimidating things to do with your career. It might be new situations, new people. All sorts of things can be intimidating and cause fear for us. And those emotions can be overwhelming. They can be paralyzing. And the way we often respond to that is to bring down the level of the fear and the anxiety and the worry from like a 10, where we're like totally paralyzed, down to a 4 or a 3 or a 2. And one of the things we tend to use to do that is numbing. So we numb ourselves against overwhelm, extreme feelings, and situations that we don't think we can handle. Numbing takes lots of forms. It's anything that reduces the emotional overwhelm. So some people use drink or they use drugs, and they make social situations easier, or they numb background emotions and worries. Some people will use, some people kind of externalize. They become fixated on the feelings of other people, for example. So they might spend their lives chasing after love and acceptance and approval, or they might be fixated on the awful behavior of other people, and they'll talk about it all the time. The point is to stop noticing their own feelings and focus on something going on outside themselves. Another way that we tend to numb ourselves against situations is to simply become absent. This is the most common one, and it's the one that has the most profound impact on a lot of people's lives. How much of your day are you conscious for? Like if I asked you about your journey to work this morning, could you tell me everything that happened, or were you basically not there? Were you looking at a phone, or thinking about the tasks for your day, or thinking about your shopping list? Were you actually present in the moment, or were you off somewhere else? This is a really important one, and this, I've found, it tends to be the biggest reason that people don't get things done. So we have things we want to achieve in our lives, but they tend to be frightening. I've talked in several videos about comfort zone and risk zone, and where doing anything new, learning any new skill, going to any new situation tends to involve fear and worry. So one of the ways we avoid those kind of feelings is to numb ourselves against them by not being present. And over a long period of time, you look back and you realize that you haven't done any of the things you wanted to do because you weren't there to be doing them. So what can you do about this? So the first thing is to notice when you are being absent. Just notice to start with. If you notice that a whole chunk of your day you haven't been there for, or if you notice that a situation keeps coming up where you become absent, just start noticing that. That's all. Gathering information is always the first step. So when are you doing this? Why? And how often? What does it look like for you? Do you tend to sort of glaze over, or do you look like you're completely present but actually you're not? Do you tend to stare at your phone for long periods of time, just sort of endlessly scrolling? How do you become absent from the moment? That's the first thing. The second thing is to understand, why do you need to do this? For a lot of us, it's just a learned habit. We fall into just habits of being absent. And days, weeks, years can go by. I have older clients who look back and their biggest regret in their life was that they just weren't there for most of it. They were off somewhere else. As they begin to realise what it's like to be really conscious and present and alive in the moment, they realise how much of their life they haven't done that for. And it's a huge regret that they have. So, why do you do this? Start jotting things down, situations that are overwhelming, reasons that you tend to fear the moment and you tend to just leave it. Just start kind of confessing to yourself. Why do you feel the need to leave the moment? Are there situations? Is the home situation too stressful and overwhelming? Are there things that happen at work that you don't want to be there for, so you tune out? Do you find yourself going to dark places when there's nothing around you, nothing going on, no stimulation, and you need to numb yourself against the feelings and the thoughts that begin coming up then? Just start writing these kind of things down. So the first thing is to notice that you're doing it. The second is to understand why you're doing it. Why is it that you choose to not be there? The third is to begin rewriting your expectation about what life is, about what the moment will contain. Another one of my really common phrases is, life is a messy business. The things you're going to meet in each moment are always going to be complicated. There is so much going on inside of us all the time, and there is so much going on around us that it can be overwhelming at first, but just begin to experience coming into the moment and noticing everything that's happening. It's actually okay. Most of the time, it's not going to be as overwhelming as you think it is. And if you spend more and more time being conscious and present, you'll get more used to it. This is a little bit like the comfort zone, risk zone model that I've talked about several times. Here, the risk is becoming present, showing up, and noticing the experience of the moment. Over time, if you can begin embracing the mess of the moment, perhaps understanding the fears and the anxieties that tend to overwhelm and cause you to become absent, and if you can choose to start showing up in more a regular, consistent way, then you will start achieving more. If you have a to-do list, or if you have goals that you can break down into tasks, then the more present you are, the more freedom you have to choose to do things. Remember that I don't believe in procrastination, and I don't believe in laziness. Neither of those things is real. There is only choice. If you don't do a thing, you chose not to do it. If you're not conscious in the moment, then that's a choice as well. You choose to step outside of the moment and let some other aspect of you or somebody else control the moment. You won't get things done. You won't get challenging things done if you keep doing that. So step back into the moment, become more conscious and present, practice that, and then witness yourself choosing to fulfill the objectives and the goals that you've been setting yourself. That's a huge thing about achieving more and over time looking back on a life of success, is learning not to numb, not to become absent, to become more accustomed to being conscious and present and just alive in the moment, and then making consistently positive choices about what you're going to do with each moment. That's how we get things done, and I've seen it have huge results for my clients, and I wish you the best of luck. Go out there and test it. If you found this video helpful, then please give it a like, drop me a comment or a question. What would you like me to make more videos about? Is there any particular topics that I've touched on that you think, hey, that's really interesting, I'd like to hear more about that? And subscribe to my channel, because I publish stuff like this all the time. Great to see you. Take care.